The FBI video gives you a good base level of understanding of how to run, hide, fight, and the option to render aid when it's appropriate. We're going to add to that a little bit with a concept we call the tactical twos. Now, this is based on a special operations principle that one is none. And what this means is that if you have an important tool or an important task to do, that you have to have two ways to do it. For example, if I need a certain radio on a mission, I better not just bring one radio. I better have two, so in case the first fails, I have a backup plan. The same thing if I were going to enter a building and do some type of assault on an enemy compound. I'm going to have a primary and alternate breach point and a primary and alternate method of entry. Now we can work this in reverse for you and make sure that you have two of every tool you need available, and that you also have a primary and backup means of accomplishing most of the things you need to do. When it comes to running, obviously, you need to get away from danger quickly. I would say use a little caution if the threat area is unknown. So don't run out in the open and make yourself a victim of attack when you could have taken a little pause in the corner, looked around with minimal exposure, and then decided the direction to run. So if you don't know where the gunfire is coming from, use a little more caution when you're rounding corners or going into an open space is all that I'm saying. Next, if you're going to run into the police, make sure your hands are up, open, and empty during that encounter. You definitely don't want to look like you have a long gun or a weapon in your hands when you're meeting the police in a surprise situation. Now, as far as the tactical twos are concerned, make sure that you have two escape routes. And typically what I tell people is ignore the primary route or the primary entrance that you came in. Look for something that is unexpected or unusual, and then look for something that is improvised. So unusual is that if you walked into a restaurant through the front door, discount that front door as one of your exit routes. Look around to see a back door that perhaps the employees are using or a fire exit that not many people will know about. On top of that, look for some type of improvised means to escape. Could you break out a window? Can you climb down from a balcony? Can you kick your way through a wall or climb through a ceiling? Something like that. So if you get your mindset straight, you don't have to be paranoid about this, but you just give yourself permission to use those alternatives to exit an area. And it only takes a few moments to survey a scene to figure out what those are. If you work somewhere regularly, establish these tactical twos there. Next, have two rally points. So you want to have a near rally point, something that's quick and easy to get to so you can account for all the people who you're responsible for. But you also want to have a distant rally point, and this is a place to meet up with people if you're separated at a scene. Now, the far rally point needs to be out of sight, sound, and potential gunfire from the initial attack site. So it doesn't do any good to meet in a parking lot of a building that's under attack. Attackers very often come into parking lots and very often go up and down stairs to second and third stories to continue to fire on arriving police and other people. So to avoid that, you need to have something out of sight and sound. I suggest about 2 blocks away as a minimum to use as your backup plan and your backup rally point. When it comes to hiding, seek a safe area to hide or barricade as soon as possible. Now, hiding is temporary, but barricading is typically a better solution if you can get to that point. Now, reduce your sight and sound. So if there are any window coverings in the door or windows that are exposed, make sure the shades are shut and that window opening is covered so the attacker cannot see in the room easily. Then reduce the sound of your cell phone by putting it on vibrate, and make sure you turn the lights off to give you an extra layer of security. Now, don't hide and huddle. Keep your head up. Look for ways to improve your position. Gather improvised weapons. Prepare for an attack. Look for escape routes and have those ready if needed. Now, you should also have 2 areas that you know that you can barricade relatively easily. So if I generally work on a floor of the building, I will pick 2 areas that are catty corner from each other and look for locations there. Next, you want to have 2 means to barricade any door. So don't depend on door locks alone. Have some type of backup plan, whether it's improvised by stacking desks or dropping file cabinets in front of the door, or whether it's something that's ready-made like a door bar device or a door wedge or something that would perhaps cover the hinges of a door on the top that will keep the door from opening and expanding. But have 2 means. Don't depend on just a door lock alone. Attackers will sometimes shoot through those door locks. Next, when it comes to fighting, you have to absolutely fight as the best resort. Some people will tell you to fight as the last resort, but in truth, the run, hide, fight model depends on you to take the most appropriate action at the most appropriate time, no matter what that action is, and to be able to switch flexibly between those. So it doesn't do any good to say do it as a last resort. It may be absolutely the best first thing that you can do. So look for windows of opportunity. Obviously, if the attacker is reloading a weapon, is fixing a malfunction, or they have their back turned to you, those may be times where you need to act decisively and attack. Work as a team. Don't make it a 50-50 proposition. As soon as you get a hold of that weapon or as soon as you attack the attacker, encourage others to help you any way that you can. Also get plumb mad dog me. Now, this is in the words of the outlaw Josie Wales. Basically, if you don't have a lot of skill, and even if you do have some skill, use an appropriate level of anger and drive to disable that attacker immediately. Have the will to fight and never give up. And have 2 improvised weapons nearby. Anything that is hard, heavy, sharp, or blinding. Some common items that can be kept in and around a desk, for example, would be a simple hammer. Or one of our favorites, the fire extinguisher, which we will demonstrate in a later video. So look for 2 improvised weapons, things that are handy, things that will not break easily, things that you can use in close confines. When it comes to providing aid, good sound advice is to render aid only when the situation is safe for you to do it. Also know the location of 2 trauma kits. Now, trauma kits means a kit that is capable of being used to stop serious bleeding. We're looking at things like Kerlix, tourniquets, some type of blood stopping agent. A typical first aid kit will be nearly worthless when you're dealing with severe injuries in these type of attacks. Also, you should know how to treat serious bleeding. Look, this is an adult skill that you should have established very early on because you may need some medical skill, for example, in a car accident, in a hunting accident, an industrial accident. It could be something as simple as seeing a child accidentally push their hand through a window. And you've got to be able to stop severe bleeding relatively quickly because it may be too late if you wait for first responders to get there. And it will be difficult for you to live with yourself if you could have kept someone alive and didn't have the simplest of skills to do it.